Welcome, everyone. This is Tara Gilvar. I am the founder and CEO of B.I.G, and I am proud to welcome you tonight to this very special Zoom call. We have one of the highest turnout registrations for any Zoom call we've had thus far, and we know exactly why. I am proud to bring to you a very special guest tonight. Her name is Lisa Lieberman-Wang. I've had the very great privilege of knowing Lisa for several years. For those of you who understand me and know me, I vet who I bring to you very carefully. And I have known Lisa for several years and have gone on retreats with her and have read her book and have been working closely with her and understanding that her mission is very aligned with our mission at B.I.G to truly empower women and help them be the best versions of themselves. As many of you may have known already, Lisa has worked for more than 2 decades with the amazing Tony Robbins and has written books, has been on multiple TV shows, as you can see on your screen, across the country. And we're very proud to have her with us tonight. As a fellow woman entrepreneur, as many of us are, Lisa has generated over $67 million in income personally through her many business entities that she's been working on throughout the many years. She's here tonight to share with us her insights, her wisdom, and some of the tricks of the trade that she has learned, and then to offer you a very special opportunity to get to know her better. So it is with great privilege that I introduce my friend, my colleague, and my fellow woman entrepreneur, Lisa Lieberman-Wang.
Lisa, you're muted. Hold on.
It was totally me. So thank you, Tara. What I said is thank you. And thank you for the opportunity to be here. And I'm excited to be here and also to meet all of the wonderful ladies that have joined us so that I can be here to help you grow yourself and your business and use the tools I'll be sharing tonight that you'll be able to implement immediately to see results in your business. So there'll be a lot of actionable things. I'm going to encourage you to get a piece of paper and a pen so you can take some notes, because there will be things I'll be suggesting you can take and implement for yourself. I'm going to gather that everybody here either has a business, in business, or looking to be in business. And you can't see me. Okay, hopefully you can. Just the screen. Well, I'm on the Zoom thing, so you're going to end up seeing the PowerPoint. So if you're looking at it, you should also be able to see the videos of all the people. So I'm on, so I don't know why you're not seeing me. That part I'm confused with. But I'm going to just jump in. Is that okay? And we'll go from here. So here, one of the reasons that you're here is you're probably looking and saying, how do I grow my business? What is it I have? What are my options? And if you're like me, you can get caught up with every technique and strategy, and whatever's out there becomes the flavor of the month, and you want to figure out, how do I apply it to my business? And you may find that it does or it doesn't work. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of roll up our sleeves and decide really what it is you need to do for your business, okay? So the first thing I want you to do is ask yourself what you're doing today, if what you're doing today is getting you closer to where you want to be tomorrow. And it's an important question, because a lot of times we're kind of caught up in the busy and the doing, but we're not actually in the result producing activities that are going to bring us in our business to where we want to be. And I want you to just think about what it is you're doing on a daily basis. And what I'm going to do is break it down to you for some specific areas in what I call the big money blueprint of what you actually need to do to be able to get the results to be able to grow a business and sustain it. One of the challenges I found for a lot of people is the grass is always greener where you water it, but we're looking over at the other side of the grass and going, oh my God, the grass is greener there. So we jump over there and we forget about what we're doing, but the grass is greener where you water it. It's what you pay attention to and what you focus on will grow. So we have to start paying attention to where our energy is going. And a lot of people are struggling with wanting to make more money and just making enough money, but not in abundance. If you can relate to that, just like put in the chat, yes, so I know that you're there. Because that way I can feel like I'm kind of having a conversation with you and not by myself, if you can relate. And thank you. Oh my God, I love it. Thank you, Beth and Brittany and Kathy. So what happens is, there's several challenges that we end up having. Some of the challenges are time versus money, and that's a big one, especially if you have family and other obligations. If you're working and building a side business, if this is your full-time business and trying to do everything and wearing every hat is always another challenge of where your time is spent and where your money is spent. Also, working smarter, not harder. A lot of times people think they have to work harder, and it's really about learning to work smarter. And then it's also about not reinventing the wheel, and a lot of people try to do that where there's proven systems that work. And some of the things I'm going to give you are the proven systems that work, because from my experience, and you'll find out a little bit about it in a moment, there's methodologies and ways that you can actually succeed effortlessly, but you have to follow proven systems and not try to reinvent it. The next is that you want to get out there and share your gifts with the world, right? Tell everybody what you're doing and to be able to offer those products and services to them. Most entrepreneurs don't start businesses to make money. What I found what they do is they start businesses to fulfill a purpose or to solve a problem or to make a difference in the world. And the biggest challenge is you can do all this, but if you don't make it profitable, you won't be in business long, so you'll never solve the problems of the world, and you'll never be able to make the difference. So it's which comes first, the chicken or the egg. You want to make sure that you understand that if you're in business, it's not a hobby. Now, I want you to write something down because you're going to need this later. This is a website address I want you to have. It's callwithlisa.com. And write it down because it's only going to be available to some of you at the end, and you'll understand as we go. And we're going to move forward from here. So let me tell you a little bit about my story. I didn't come out of the womb looking like I do and doing all the successful things that I've done. As a matter of fact, I came out of the womb, I want to say fine. And fine for me was frustrated, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. And I so much wanted to be fab. But what I found is that as I began my journey, that there was a lot of secrets to success. And fortunately for me, I was trained by a lot of amazing people. The unfortunate part for me was that I also was not dealing with the emotions and the other things that came with business, and I would self-sabotage myself. And what was kind of crazy about it is that you'd wonder, why would I do that? I started out early in my career working for companies like IBM. I interned with them. And then later on, I had my own computer consulting company. I had 8 employees by the time I was 23 years old. Yes, you heard me right. I had adult daycare really early in my career when I was also a child trying to figure it out. And then I found I really didn't like adult daycare, and I went to work for a company like MCI. But what happened is, as successful as I was, and when Tara was saying I had done millions and millions and millions of dollars in revenue at this point in my life, I was in my late 20s, it turned out that I was burning out. And I found I was dealing with anxiety and stress, and I ended up using food to feel better. So I was binging and purging, and everything was all centered around the wrong stuff, because as successful as I was, I didn't even know how to deal with the success. And it's kind of funny. People say they have a fear of success or the fear of failure. Some people think it's a fear of failure. For me, it was a fear of success, because I felt like, how do I keep up with this? How do I top myself? It's like, I have to do it even better next time. Like, it was never good enough. And it was interesting because a doctor friend of mine who's a chiropractor had said to me that Tony Robbins was going to be in town and he can help you. And at the time I was bulimic, and what that meant is I used food to feel better. I used to binge and eat everything in sight and then purge. And she pretty much said, he can help you. So I thought Tony helped bulimics. I didn't know who Tony Robbins was. He was just this big guy who did fire walks, which meant you walk on fire and you're going to be better. So I went to his first event, and I actually was sitting in the front in a VIP section, and we started walking to the fire lane. And I said to him, is this going to help my bulimia? And he looked at me and just smiled and did not answer. Well, I'll tell you, that year I ended up enrolling in all of his programs, and this was taken in Hawaii later that year when they were looking for someone that was suicidal. And I never raised my hand, but somehow I was called, and Tony ended up working with me on stage in front of 2,500 people for several hours. And I continued working with him for 25 years after that. And I know that I had to participate in my own rescue, and that's exactly what I did. And I've been volunteering for him and volunteering my time every year to go serve his community and to help people as I felt like I was helped. And about 9 years ago, this picture on the right was taken in Egypt, and I became a platinum partner of Tony's, which meant it's like an elite group of, at the time it was under 100 people. We were in Egypt with like 78 people, and my husband's taking the picture. And we were traveling around the world with him for a year, and the mentorship of being with him and all the people he brought to us, like Steve Wynn and T. Boone Pickens and, oh my God, Peter Diamandis and Frank Kern, I mean, and Keith Cunningham, you name it. Like, we were just in the best company you could even imagine. But what I realized is that I was looking for the answer to what's wrong with me, and I spent a fortune traveling around the world after meeting Tony. To everybody he ever footnoted in his books and mentioned out there, I decided I needed to learn from them. Because what ended up happening is it's cool knowing, but it's not cool not knowing when we do things. And I was trying to figure out what was wrong with me and why I was doing different things and why I could be so successful but still be hurting myself. Whether it was learning from Mark Hyman and learning about nutrition, whether it's learning from Arianna Huffington, from Huffington Post, or, you know, this is Sage, this is Tony's wife, this was in Cabo, and that's my husband Yardley on the right. You know, it was really about surrounding myself by people who can actually help me grow and where I wanted to be. And then Dr. Bandler actually was the one who taught Tony NLP. So I decided I need to learn from him too. Are you getting a theme here? I wanted to figure out what everybody was doing. And I learned from everybody I could. You name them, Guru Singh, or, you know, or the next one there, or Dr. Fab, or whoever it was. I was going to learn from all these people. But what I found is a lot of people will invest in certain things, but not necessarily what will give them a return. And what I believe is that we have to invest on things that give a return. These are just some of the names of the people that I've been trained by, and I'm saying just some. So you can imagine, my husband knows that I have a new addiction. I am not addicted to food any longer. It's called personal growth. So that's pretty much where I am. I've actually invested over $1 million in me in education. And at the beginning, it wasn't to actually find out about how to help you. Quite honestly, it was try to help me. And what I realized is while we were in Egypt, one of Tony's head trainers ended up saying to me, Lisa, you're playing small. And I didn't quite understand that, because at that point I'd already had trained over 125,000 business professionals on how to grow their business exponentially, how to create sophisticated marketing strategies, how to improve their profitability and personal growth. So the idea of playing small seemed ridiculous, because I knew that was not who I was. But what she was saying is that you're playing small because you're supposed to be helping women. And I really agreed with her. And it took me a year when I woke up a year later and literally came downstairs and said to my husband, handsome, I'm supposed to save lives. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but that's what I'm going to do. And I ended up writing this book, Find to Fab, and it became a #1 bestseller, which is this when I was able to share it with Tony. Tony got the first book because he's in it also. And this is when he said, oh yeah, you said you were going to be doing it. So somebody caught the expression, which was way cool. And since then, the journey has been quite amazing. And I've been able to help a lot of people personally and professionally. What I'm going to share with you tonight is actually specifically about business. And there is some mindset in it. But we're going to be talking about the big money blueprint. And as I've invested in myself, I also surround myself with other people who are like-minded, who've done the same. And my business associate who put this program together with me happens to be Willard Barth. And he's not on the call with me, but he's also a #1 best-selling author of The Anatomy of Transformation. He's also been featured on ABC, CBS, Time Warner, Fox, Wall Street Business Network, and so forth. He's been a business consultant for over 20 years, and he's absolutely amazing. And one of the things, again, I like to align myself with people like that, is he's invested so much in his education over the last 30 years. Tara, ready for this? He also was with Tony for all those years, the 25 years I was with Tony. He's been with Tony 27, and we just met 5 years ago. So it's so funny how you can be in the same place at the same time and never meet. And that's exactly what happened to us. So it was pretty cool. And one thing that I love about Willard is that he has worked with companies and individuals professionally as an executive business consultant and strategist. He's taken businesses from 0 to hero, also from 32 million to 124 million in 18 months. So there's some strategies I'll be sharing that are our strategies that we put together for you and that you're going to be able to apply this evening to be able to learn more. So the first thing is knowing that in anything you do, if you haven't gotten a clue, it's about investing in you. And investing in you is important because a lot of times people think, I'll invest in my business because I have an ROI. I could see a return on investment. But the most important investment has to be you, because here's what happens. If you don't believe in you, they're buying you before they're buying your business or your product. Would you agree? That would be a yes in the chat box if you agree, that they buy you first before they buy anything else. Because what happens a lot of times is we think, well, I just gotta talk to more people and get it out there. But maybe you're not as confident about your product or service. You don't think you're going to make the difference that you need to for other people. So you have to know that the things that you have to step away from in order to achieve this success is to step away from perfectionism, or fear of failure, or taking the big steps, or making excuses that you don't have the time, you don't know how, or procrastinating, or creating distractions. If you relate to any of this, I love that you're saying yes in the chat box. Thank you. And the other thing is that I want you to know that business is easy. And please repeat after me to yourself or out loud, wherever you are. Business is easy. You're making it hard. And that's what usually happens to people. We make it harder than we need to by looking to reinvent the wheel. So what I encourage you to do is to treat your business like you've invested hundreds or millions of dollars in it. And that's one of the first secrets, if you need to write that down, that's one of the first secrets of how I've taken every business I've ever started. And I can say I have to count. We own 5 businesses right now between my husband and I. I own 4 of them. He opened his 5th. We own 5 businesses. Every single business we've ever opened since we're together, and even before on my own, has made 6 figures the first year. And I'm going to share with you some of the reasons why and how you can do that. But a lot of it needs to be how you're addressing your business. Treat it like you invested hundreds or millions of dollars in it and not like a hobby. So that's the first note. The second is you have to be your own raving fan. That means you need to love what you're doing so much that you want to share it with everybody. You need to want to let everybody know, as if you're going to be screaming from the rooftops, that this is the best thing in the world, and know how it's going to make a difference to people. I challenge you to write down 5 things that your product or service does for people, then why they need it and why they should want it, and how it's going to change their lives. Because when you become a raving fan of your product and you can promote it, not because you're embarrassed to, but because you know it's making a difference for someone, business becomes easy. Does that make sense? So if you can nod your head, I can see some heads. No, we're good. Okay. The other part is, are you bankrupt? And what that means is, I don't mean financially. I mean, are you not getting where you want to be? Are you my fine, how I used to be, which is, where you're making things hard? Are you waiting for people to believe in you? Are you waiting for other people to get it or tell you it's okay? And what I mean by bankrupt is financially, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. If you're treating your time like it's free and you're not valuing it, you're probably missing opportunities. And the one thing you're going to find when it comes to how I like to do things is I value everything. I schedule everything. And working with Tara and Brittany is amazing because they're the same way. It's like we put things in the calendar, we know when we're going to be there, we know what result-producing activities are, and that's what we do. But how many times do you think you have the whole day and you don't make the priorities of what needs to be done? That's a really important piece I want you to look at. The biggest mistake you may have is if you treat time like it's free, you think it's not priceless. It has a big value on it, and you can never get the time back. So I really encourage you to start scheduling your time, and what gets scheduled gets done. That means putting in your calendar what you need to do. The other thing is rescue yourself, and I mean that literally. And it may sound funny, but I really do mean rescue yourself. Make it like a mission to take care of you, and to be able to get out there and do what you need to do so you can expose yourself to the right people and reinvent yourself. Be the person that you want to be when you're successful. Start with the end in mind. Not I'll be doing this when I'm successful. It's like you do it now, not when. Okay, that's a really big part that I want you to get. So here are the steps that we have in our Big Money Blueprint. We have in it, we have the first formula is having a confidence formula, and that's creating your intellectual property. It's what you do better than anybody else in the world. The second is the ideal client avatar, knowing your target, who you're marketing to, what you need to say, what they want and what they need, having a sensational soundbite, getting your message out there where if you had a mega horn and you're talking to 1,000 people, that the people who need what you have would recognize it in an instant just by what you say. Having a signature program is the difference that makes the difference. And that's actually something that's unique to you that nobody else can offer based on your experience and knowledge and skills that you can actually help somebody get where they want to be. Then having a signature talk, which actually is the best tool for engaging ideal clients online and in person. This is an example of a signature talk, so I give you a reference to be able to share some of the services that you can offer. Then being able to create funnels where you can generate leads, prospects, and clients. Knowing how to create the right landing pages that convert and how to get prospects into your funnel. Those are the people that will potentially become your clients. And then promoting your programs online and off. So I'm going to share with you a Big Money Blueprint. And this is actually a new program that we just introduced. And honestly, you are the first, big women are the first to see this presentation. As I shared with Tara that what we've been doing, we've been working with our NAP practitioners where we teach neuroscience and human psychology and giving them these formulas, and they've been implementing this for 3 years now, but we never made it available as a program in its own. And this is the first time we decided to take it out of the program and offer it to other people. So this will be some cool stuff. So let's talk about how you have to stand out from the crowd. And the first thing is you need to know there's something called marketing myopia. And what that is businesses suffer from this because they focus on the products rather than the customer. And what that means is, what business are you in from the perspective of the customer's needs and wants and how you fill it. So I'll give you an idea. Does everybody know Revlon? Revlon's cosmetics, right? So Revlon, they once asked Mr. Revlon, they said, what business are you in? Now, if you think of Revlon, if you want to type in the chat, what business do you think Revlon is in? And Cindy and Wendy and one other person right before that is pretty close. You're doing great. Love it. Holly, you're close. Dawn, very close. So what Mr. Revlon said, that his business, the business he's in, is giving women hope. Hope. But yet, what do they sell? They sell cosmetics, right? But the business he's in is giving people hope. Well, if we're all holding a sign saying we sell cosmetics, how would any one of us be different? We're all selling cosmetics, right? But when you understand in marketing myopia is that we're not selling the product, but rather the outcome of what they get and what their needs and wants are, it changes everything. And that's an important piece I want you to think about. What business are you in? What business are you in, okay? So here's what happens. We're going to address specifically a couple of the areas I shared with you tonight because I don't have time for everything. But it feels very confusing when you start thinking about all the things it can be until you understand specific ideas about your business and how you can service your clients, okay? So what I'm going to share with you tonight is I broke it down where out of all these things, and there's a lot, I think there's 8. I'm going to just focus on what I call like the top 3 that I want to share with you, and I want to make sure you get a piece of it that you can start thinking of and applying and using it to build your business. Does that sound good? Okay, so the first one we're going to talk about is your confidence formula. And the confidence formula is really important, and this is how you create your intellectual property. The intellectual property is what you do better than anybody else. It's your experience, it's your past, it's the journey you've been on, it's how your products and services can make a difference for people. It's things that you've done from when you were a little girl to who you are today. And a lot of times we sit there thinking, well, there's nothing that makes me confident. I'm new in this. I don't know what I'm doing, or I've been doing it and maybe you're not as successful as you want to be. Or maybe you're successful, but you know you can be even more successful, but you're not actually getting the message out there properly. So we like to create a confidence formula. And what that looks like is finding all the things that makes you great. So to give you an example of some of the things you can do, I have some questions here. Like, what are some of your greatest accomplishments personally and professionally? When you start thinking of it, you may not realize, like, I could turn around, well, I was in honor society. And you go, well, what does honor society have to do with anything, Lisa, in your business? Well, it makes me confident because I know I was smart and I was on honor society. I had a partial scholarship through college. Well, that's a great accomplishment. You know, I was in choir and chorus and in the band. That's a big accomplishment, right? I was an awful clarinet player. I will not make that an accomplishment, so you know, right? So what are some of the accomplishments, great accomplishments? It can be when you were younger. It can be that maybe you are an author, or you won an award, or you are a marathon runner, or other things that maybe are great accomplishments. And it may apply to your business and it may not, but it's what makes you unique. And this is about a confidence formula, okay? What are some of the major problems you've overcome? You know, sometimes we forget that it's the adversity that leads us to the reward. So what are some of the major problems? Well, for me, major problems were growing up in a dysfunctional family where my dad was verbally abusive. Big problems could be that major problems being date raped at 16, attacked by an employer at 18, and again, an associate at 19. Well, again, how does that have to do with business? Well, for business and building, I had to overcome a lot of things to be where I am. And some people may have overcome one, I may have overcome 20, right? Or you may have overcome 40 things that you had to overcome. Maybe you grew up in a dysfunctional family too. Maybe it was an alcoholic home, or maybe you had an illness when you were younger, or maybe you had a learning disability, or maybe there were other problems you had to overcome. Maybe you were divorced. It doesn't matter what it is, whatever it is, it's who you are is what we're looking to put together. What awards, certifications, accreditations, special studies have you taken? Have you gone and continued your education? Do you have a specialized schooling that you did? Do you have college? Do you have masters? Do you have doctorates? Do you have a specialized degree in the arts, in music, or in a certain language? Maybe you speak multiple languages. Maybe you got awards for different achievements that you've done, and you're brilliant in science or math or other areas. What special studies have you taken that set you apart from others? And if you notice, I shared a lot of mine with you at the beginning, and there was a reason for it. It's saying, okay, there's a lot of people out there that have gone to a Tony event, but there aren't a lot of people that win for 25 years and spend a month a year in that presence with all the mentors and stuff. There's a lot of people out there that have taken certifications, but there aren't a lot of people that traveled around the world and learned from every single person they could find who is out there doing what they wanted to learn, right? There are a lot of people. So what makes you different? What's your magic gift? What's your genius that puts you out there? You may have decided you were going to be a proficient student and you were going to self-teach yourself stuff. You could have done so many different things. It's not like one thing is right or wrong. It's all there. What roles have you held? Have you been part of a PTA? Have you been part of a company where you were the vice president or a director? Or what other businesses have you done? All those things have a big piece in there. So what's the gifts and the geniuses you've had in your life? Have you raised children? If your business has to do with raising children, that's important. Have you dealt with challenged children? That's another thing, roles that you might have had. Have you a mother, a wife, a sister, an aide, how you've supported other people? Maybe you were an advisor. Maybe you were a principal. The point is, what roles have you held? And also, because what I found in Big, there's a lot of women that have actually had unbelievable careers and then stepped back for their children, then decided to get back in the workforce, right, Tara? We've talked about that. So that doesn't mean you're just coming out of nowhere building a business. You have skills and abilities that maybe you forgot about, that you forgot that they were part of your resume just because you didn't do it for a while, Right, Nina? You're shaking your head. So there's so many things that maybe you didn't think about that really make you unique in who you are. And if you've been a domestic engineer for years, then that means you've had every job in the world as a mom and a family and controlling a house and managing schedules and everything else. So what is something, and then the last one here is, what's something that you've achieved or overcome, which may not seem like a big deal to you, but to somebody else would be huge. Somebody else would be huge. And that's really what they like, start creating what this intellectual property is, right? And what makes your confidence formula, knowing, look who I am today. I'm not just this, but I have all these things that I've accomplished and all these things that I've done, which makes me totally unique, okay? Then let's look at our ideal client. And the avatar is the person or company, because it could be a company if you're selling B2B, business to business, that's most likely the beneficiary of your product or service. So can you start writing in there for everybody, writing in the product or service you're selling, so I can actually customize this even more to you? So whatever you're selling, put it in there for me so I can support you even more, okay? Beauty counter, okay. So as you do that, I'm going to continue, but I'm going to look over acupuncture, voiceover. I have a friend that personal training, nutrition, awesome. Keep going, ladies. I'm going to look at them all. Visual design, personal care, sports, awesome. Membership, career coaching, printing, vision boards, wonderful, awesome. So there's a mix between traditional businesses, coaching, direct sales, network marketing, different kinds of things, consulting, wonderful. So when you think of your business, realize that some of you specifically will be doing B2B. Like your service can be sold to another business. So when you look at your ideal client, it's like, who's your ideal business you'll sell to? Some of you are selling to individuals, and then it's going to be a person. So the avatar, like I said, can be a person, could be a company, and we're going to get really specific and very detailed about who that is. Here's the challenge most people have. They think of their ideal client, and they think everybody is their client. So everybody they meet, they go and try to get their name, their number, their information, and they're pitching them on what they sell, but not everybody is your client, right? If you're teaching Maureen academic learning and coaching, if someone's not looking for that service, it doesn't make sense that you'd have a conversation with them other than to find out who they know, correct? If you're teaching somebody, if you're doing executive coaching and you have a degree in mental health and you're also an attorney, you actually maybe want to do executive coaching for attorneys and go specific into that realm, Robin, because now you have confidence in an area where just an executive coach or leadership doesn't have it because she doesn't have that background. It's easy to talk to people like you that you already know some of their needs and wants and to try to create it. Okay, if you're looking to coach people in healing from maternal, I think it's narcissist is what you wrote, Allie. I'm thinking Allison. But the idea is to be really specific on who that is. So I'm going to give you an example of some things you can look at. If you're looking at B2B or you're looking at B2C, business to consumer, are you the business selling to consumer? If you're looking at the business, we're looking at the size of the company, the sector of the company, number of employees, locations, where are they located, what problems are they frequently facing, and what opportunities are they exposed to. When we're looking at this, we want to go really specific into every single thing we could think about them. If you're selling to an individual, questions for the ideal buying profile for the person is first, are they a male or female? If we're talking to a male, they have a lot of different challenges than females. Would you agree? And we can't have the same conversation with them as we would for a woman. So we want to be really specific. Is it a he or her? In what position are they in the company? Are they working for themselves? Are they working for someone? How old are they? Are they married? Are they single? Do they have kids? How old are the kids? Give the kids names. Do they live in the suburbs, in the city, in the rural? Do they own? Do they rent? All the questions I'm asking, do they commute? What hobbies do they have? What keeps them up at night? All these things are so super critical, and I'm going to go back for a second and why. This ideal client here, this avatar, is someone I want you to give a name to. I want you to give him or her a name that when you're thinking of that person, you can actually say, does Sally, does Sam, does Susan, does Donna, does whatever want this? And Tara, I don't know if you ever put a name to your avatar, but if you were to have a name, just either tell me what the name is, that would be cool, like, or make one up now. But the ideal, the ideal person who comes to Big, unless her name is Big, who comes to Big is like, someone who wants to get ahead in their lives. They already have great skills, right? They already either have a business or starting a business, and they're going out there. But we give her a name. Do you want to give her a name right now? There you go.
I wrote it in the chat, but mine is always Susie Johnson.
Oh, I love it. Susie Johnson. I just saw it. I didn't see it. Thank you. So Susie Johnson. So here, I'm going to just use you as an example, okay? So if we're talking to Susie Johnson and we're going to be putting something out and we're going to go share with them about Big, we're going to be pretty specific about what Susie Johnson's challenges are. We know what keeps her up at night. We know when she puts her head on the pillow, I call it pillow talk, when she's putting her head on the pillow at night, if she has somebody there, what she's saying that's keeping her up, all the challenges and the pain points and what things that she wants to solve and the difference she wants to make in the world and what's important to her. You're having a conversation to Susie Johnson. Now, if you're having a conversation to Samantha and to Henry and to Mary and to everybody else, the conversation may be different. We also want to know how old Susie Johnson is. So if you start looking around, you may notice that the women's ages in the groups are kind of similar. You're probably in the 30s or 40s. Is that right? Am I close? Right? In the 30s or 40s. So it's like, where are we? And then when they get into their 40s, there's a whole different conversation is, what about me? I've been taking care of the kids. I've done this. It's my turn. They're going to be out soon. I'm going to be an empty nester. What am I going to have to do? And then all the conversation changes. And I hope you can see that when you're specific and you know who you're talking to and you give her a name, you're going to make better choices on one, where you spend money. How are you advertising? Where are you spending your time? How are you getting yourself out there? Because here's what people make a mistake. They sell to everyone and no one hears them. I'll say it again. They sell to everyone, no one hears them. We want to be clear on who we're talking to so they can hear you, okay? So moving forward, the next difference between barely making a living versus making a 6 or 7 figure income is having a signature program or service. Now, this is so important, and people miss this, and they miss it in such a big way, because what they do is they think that they're selling one thing versus packaging it to be unique based on all the things we've already talked about that puts you into a unique category where no one is like you, okay? So when we look at that, when we're creating a signature program or service, what we're looking to do is develop something where you're no longer selling hours or time, but you're selling outcomes. So what that means is most people, if you're a coach or a consultant and you're offering a service, whether you're doing home interior, luxury interior design, or other things, if you're charging based on your hours, chances are, you can either just get by, or you can actually do amazing, but it's too big of a variable. If you want to be an elite coach or an elite consultant and offer a service, the best way to do that, even as an attorney or any kind of practice, you can create a service or a program where you're no longer selling hourly, but you're going to sell outcome. Because what happens is if you're trying to convince somebody to buy by hour, you're always convincing them. And it's an intangible. It's hard to be able to share what you're going to do. But in the attempts, we don't want to confuse people. We want to just share with them what they want. So a signature program is really about the fact of something that you do better than anyone else. And history has proven that people are less likely to purchase a concept and more likely to invest in a proven system that will get results. But who has to prove it? You have to prove it first. Okay, that's important. You have to prove it first, okay? And like I said to you, we spent 3 years proving this works with our own clients so that we can turn around and package it and say, okay, we have got the kinks out, we know this works, and this is something that I've already proven for decades, but I didn't want to just say that I can do it. I wanted to prove other people can do it. Does that make sense? So proven. And your program will be your signature system, and it's what sets you apart from other people, and it gives you a level of certainty that you'll be able to service your clients in a different manner. So what's in your signature program? Well, you find out what they're looking for. You find out what your avatar, and I'm just going to use our Susie Johnson. We find out what Susie Johnson's looking for, right? And we get really specific. We've identified our ideal client. We know age, needs, wants, desires, what keeps them up at night, what the problems are they want to solve, what they're looking for, what their pain is that they want to heal, and also know that you want them to know, like, and trust you when you're speaking their language. Because here's what happens. If you don't understand them, they can't hear you because you're speaking the wrong language. The reason Tara is so successful with BIG is because she's been there, done that. She filled her own needs so she could fill other people's needs. Is that right, Tara? So, yeah. And that's why, I mean, same reason I can talk to people, because I've been there and I knew all the things I was looking for and couldn't find. And it became that I obviously understood what my avatar would need as well. So it works the same way. So what are they looking for? And then we also then want to look at, what do they want? What are they looking for? And I always think of it as WIIFM, what's in it for me? And it's not usually the first thing you think it is. So if you think they're looking for security or independence, or they're looking for, what is it you do, Jen? I help parents find confidence and find about taking care of their baby. So, so the thing is, if you think they're looking for feeling good about taking care of the baby, that might not be the first thing they're thinking about. Or maybe they want confidence, but maybe they don't know they want confidence. Maybe they just don't want to be in pain right now. Maybe they just want to know how to take care of the child properly. You're gonna have to really go in deep here. This is not as obvious as people think, and they end up marketing to the wrong thing. Finding out what they really want, and the next thing we want to do is find out what they need. And this is what they think that what they want is what they think they need to solve the problem. So there's a big difference between what people want and what they need, okay? They will pay for what they want, but you'll give them what they need, okay? That's the discerning factor here, okay? So what you're doing is you're selling them what's in between the want and the need. You want to understand where that is. People buy for emotional reasons and they justify with logic. So you want to communicate to the want and the need getting you there so that you're touching their heart. Okay? So that's when we talk about the signature program. You want to understand your ideal client when we look at the fact of you already did the work on who they are. Now we want to know where they are. We want to start thinking where they are mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially. We want to look at family, occupation, recreation, money. We really want to know this person as if we just kind of designed them, built them, and we can see them so that anything we do, we're talking to that person. What are their visions, not yours? You want to really get so super specific on what it is, that as if you've walked through their path and you know everything about them. That's really the key thing. So that was really about the ideal client, right? And now I'm going to talk to you about the signature program. And I hope I'm giving you a lot of information here. And when we work with people, we go a lot deeper and we kind of start rolling up our sleeves and we look at what you're doing. But I'm kind of giving you the overview version because I want to give you a lot of great information here. So if you feel like you're getting great information, I'd love you to say yes so I can continue to see that I'm supporting you. So the last piece I'm going to go into a little more detail for is your signature program. And this shows the path that you've walked as you've progressed through your own transformation and you can lead others. This is where you can't lead where you haven't gone and you can't go where you haven't been. So this gives you that opportunity, whether your signature program is personal or business. You're going to be looking at where you were so you can have that conversation and where you're leading them. Like when Jen was talking about, I believe, taking care of parents to give confidence and stuff. Well, obviously you were there, I'm guessing, and that's why you want to do that. So it's where you were and now and where you're going to be leading them, right? And then where you are now. And what we're looking for is the gap and what had to happen in between from where you were to where you are now to get where you were. What were those steps that had to happen? And what you start doing is you work backwards. Start writing down, I was here and I had to do this, and this. And then you go back and you say, what had to happen first? And then you say, well, in order for me to do this, I had to overcome this fear. Okay, and what had to happen before that? Well, before I had to overcome this fear, I had to acknowledge that I even had a fear. Okay, what had to happen before that? Well, before I had acknowledged I had a fear, I was in a lot of pain because I was stuck in it. Well, what happened before that? You follow? So you're going to find out what was the journey that got you there, so that you can be really specific when you're helping people. And then know what you know now. What would you have taught the earlier version of you to help prepare for the journey? Because there's so much wisdom and experience, right? So knowing what you know now, what would you have taught? So I used to have to be perfect. And I literally would not do it if I wasn't perfect. It was all or nothing. And I learned that perfectionism was costing me time and money. I was hurting myself, and that's why I ended up in dis-ease with myself with food. I spent 13 years hurting myself, and I have 25 years of not. So knowing that happened, I had to work on my beliefs and my fears and the resources. It was kind of like DOS, dangers, opportunities, and strengths. We had to look at the dangers, the opportunities, and the strengths in what happened during that journey. I now strive for imperfection, but I understand that a lot of my clients have this perfectionism at some point where they just want to get it right, and they think there's a right and wrong. And we need to help them see that that's the earlier version of me, where today I just love taking imperfect action. It makes it easier, right? So what is it you would tell the earlier version? And what's the path that you take them through to get them there? This is all stuff that you can compile and create the framework for your signature program that you'd craft, right? And during our program, what we do is we teach you how to take all this amazing information and how to put it together in a logical order that you can help people get the same results you get. So here's one of my clients was Brenda, where she came to me for Find to Fab, which I help people personally and professionally. And when she came to me originally, it's the small picture, it's the picture here where you see, this was her before and after. She came to me because she was frustrated with her children. She didn't know whether to say hi or hello. She was homeschooling her kids. She went to college, but she didn't end up working outside the home. She ended up just taking care of her kids and homeschooling them. That was very challenging. I kind of can't even imagine. But she ended up losing herself in the transaction. And she came to me for Find to Fab, and after we worked with her, it turned out that not only did she take care of herself and she went down like 6 dress sizes, but she actually started working a business she had part-time that never made any money. She started a new business, and she now made over $60,000 working 15 to 20 hours a week. And right now, she's on track to make well over 6 figures. She's actually on track to make over $214,000 this year already. Part-time still, working 15 to 20 hours a week. In one day, with one of the formulas I gave her, she made $17,000 in sales just from one event, just with some of the things that I teach. And she's just an amazing, amazing implementer. So this, just doing the stuff we're doing, creating a signature program, delivering the program, and understanding that whether it be deciding on the price that you'll be doing, how to add value, what they're looking for, understand that you do not want to be, I don't know where my picture is, you do not want to be working on an hourly, you want to be offering an outcome for people, and that's really what's important. There's my picture. So it's about the outcome, not the hourly, and that's a big mistake, and here's an example of that. So Dr. Terry came to me, and she went through Find to Fab, and then she continued in her NAP Coaching Academy. And one of the things is that the stuff I'm teaching you here is what we taught her. And when I started looking at her business model, I realized she was undervaluing herself. And she literally was working with people, and I saw people doing health and nutrition and stuff. She was working with people and doing like a test for $700, but she'd follow up 6 times. And then she'd do another medical test for something else, and these nickel and diming. And by the time she was done, she was working so hard. And we literally looked at her plan, changed her business. Within less than 10 days, with new patients, not even existing patients, she made $21,000. And then by the end of the month, she made $45,000. I need to tell you, that was more than she made in 6 months prior. She makes in a high 6-figure income now, which is so amazing. But what was even more amazing about it is her mom got sick, and she had to take in her mom, and her mom was incapacitated, like had to help her to the bathroom, everything, full care. she was still able to make a high six-figure income because she wasn't selling hourly anymore, but outcome. She was selling services and programs, which changed everything. It takes you out of the amateur category and puts you into the professional. I need you to know that we're in a winter economy, and if you don't understand what that means, is every season, there's winter, summer, spring, fall in business. We're in a winter economy, which means that people are not, it's not that they're not spending money. Think about the winter and things kind of like get cold and people, the trees aren't as abundant and everything else. The people are still spending money, but they're spending money on what they feel they'll get the best return on, the best value for. So in order to actually help people make a mistake in this industry, in this, era of where we are. We have another 6 months, they're saying, for this winter economy. They make a mistake and they lower prices. They lower prices thinking that they'll end up getting customers, but what they is people will spend the money, but they want value and quality now. So it's not the lower prices, you'll put yourself out of business. People are making mistakes. You don't want to be the amateur, you want to be the professional. Because people, and find a way to add unbelievable value above and beyond for people. That's what's important. So I started working with Melanie. Melanie is in the UK. She's a single mom, and she was selling tapping. And I saw someone wrote vision boards, and she was selling vision boards. And I sat down with her, and I started looking at what she was doing, and she was having a hard time communicating her packages. She didn't know who she was talking to. She didn't have a signature program. She was literally promoting to everyone, but they weren't getting it. She was selling vision boards. And I was like, well, what is it you're really selling? And it was really about manifesting abundance. That's really what it was, about how to manifest the abundance you want and bring money into your life and all this other stuff. But it's not what she was saying. And it turned out within one session, we changed how she was promoting, we meaning me on this one. And within 3 days, she got 3 new VIP clients at $3,000 a piece and made $9,000. So this was, and we also we doubled her prices because she wasn't getting it the other way, because she wasn't offering, she didn't have all these things dialed in. Does that make sense? And you want to dial it all in. So with anything we do, we want to measure, monitor, adjust, and control to make sure it's working. And once you do, you can modify it and keep making those changes. I remember when I first started my first program for Find to Fab, I said, okay, it's going to be 8 weeks. And I said, nah, it's not enough. It'll be 10 weeks. And then I said, nah, that's not enough. I'm going to be 12 weeks. I'm like, nah, that's too much. I felt like Goldilocks, I was like, well, 10 was just right. So you'll go ahead and you'll do it and take imperfect action, and then you can always improve it and make it better and just over-deliver. And oh God, you over-deliver, you'll have clients for life, and that's the best thing. So share your gifts with the world. What you want to do, you can do, and just take that action. And one of your big sisters, Janie, actually, Tara and I were together when I met Janie also. And Janie ended up starting with me, and she started with Find to Fab and ended up continuing with NAP Coaching Academy. And she's amazing. This woman has been huge in corporate and dealing with human resources and finances and everything else. And you can just see, she says, hands down, the most amazing, powerful investment I ever made. I've been a business consultant for many years, noticed through my own experience with Lisa and Find to Fab, the tools she used with me and provided here would create lasting change versus a feel-good moment. And that's really what's important. It's not about giving somebody a motivational moment, but giving them tools and resources that they can use for a lifetime. She says, I feel like I have a whole toolkit to help myself and my clients in whatever they need. And then I said, the business part of NAP Coaching Academy has given me a road to run on. This program is what you need to help people move obstacles to help them achieve their dreams. It's like an MBA mixed with multiple degrees, and it's a year program she went through with me. So she didn't even just start with Find to Fab. She continued with NAP Coaching Academy. And why that's so important is that, 35% of my business is referrals, but here's the cool part. Over 30-something% of my clients stay with me forever. Like they're with me from the beginning, from the first product to the second product to the third product. And the reason why even this solution ended up becoming created was because of what everybody told me they needed. So start thinking about what people are telling you they're looking for, and how can you provide that service to them? You know, when you think about the fashions, it's like a multiple MBA, and she's not the first one that ever said that to me. I looked up the college tuition, and I found it pretty interesting. If you're going to go get a degree, not even an MBA, just normal tuition, for any of these schools, even Harvard's $37,000 a year without books and room and boards and everything else. Tuition after 5 years is $185,000. Starting salaries is $60,000. I showed you a doctor who made $45,000 in 1 month. What would take somebody after a whole 5 years in college to make $60,000 in a year? I mean, this just can blow me away of the potential of what you can make and what you can do. So what I want to share with you, and I said I'd be sharing something at the end, and I want to share with you is this big money blueprint. And if you liked what you saw so far, I know you're going to love this. And this is really taking everything I shared with you from all these things, whether it be the confidence formula, the ideal client, sensational soundbite, helping you develop your signature program and service, the signature talk, delivering your signature program and service. There's so many ways to deliver things. People don't even realize it. Pricing it for the right client, for the avatar, so that it's a no-brainer. Funneling your signature talk and program or service through to be able to find the right people for where the leads come, the prospects that turn into your clients, because not every prospect is a client, not every lead is a client either, and it's really about filling the funnel. And this is, you need to create multiple ways for people to enter the funnel to be able to work with you, knowing how to create the landing pages to fill your webinars and signature talks. The fortunes in the follow-up and what you do will also be providing ways for you to promote your signature program using social media. I have about, right now, between all my social media platforms, I believe I'm about 30,000 people between Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, or 40,000 I might be at. But I built my first webinar that I'm sharing with you, which would be a signature talk that I did for Find to Fab. I did it online, promoting it. My first webinar actually made me $150,000. One webinar. This is a proven system. This is not theory. This absolutely works. And you also want to brand you. People are not buying your product, they're buying you. So we want to teach you how to brand you to stand out and not get caught up in that marketing myopia. And then also have the strategies to execute what you need to do. And if you like what it is so far, today only, we're going to be offering you a really special opportunity. And this is Willard and I. And, you know, I talked to Tara and I said to her, I'd like to offer you a strategy session. And I asked you to write down a website before. And the value of this strategy session is $1,500. And what I would like to offer it to you for is only $500. And then after talking to Tara, she said, well, no. She said, will you do better? And I said, yes, I'll do better. And what we decided to do is I'm offering this for the first 20 people. And that's why I asked you to write down the web address. Is if you go to my calendar at callwithlisa.com, the first 20 people that take action and get in my calendar will get this complimentary call. And here's what I'm going to ask you to do as you're going to make this appointment. This is for you if you're ready to invest in yourself and your business. It is not for tire kickers or those that want everything for free. My time is really valuable and I really want to help the people who want help. So please make sure if you're not serious about wanting to build your business and investing in you, then it's not for you. If you're sick and tired of being sick and tired and you want to set yourself apart from the competition, if you're looking for a proven system that can create 6 or 7 figures and you're ready to take your business to the next level, then go to callwithlisa.com. But here's what I also want to say. How you get started, if you've got an existing business and you're looking to start a new one with sales processes, we can help you. If you want to create programs and services that will create raving fans, we can help you. If you're interested, keep your money. I'm not even asking you for money. I don't want you to pay me a dime until you're 100% certain, and I'm 100% certain that this is the best thing for you right now. So I'm not even asking you to do anything if it's not right for you. And the other thing is that either way, either way, we really wouldn't know until we have a conversation. So that's why I want you to set up the strategy session so we can see if it is for you. I'll answer any questions you have, and I'll ask you a few myself to see that you're right for this. And if we both decide it's a good fit, then great, then we'll move forward. And if it's not, that's totally okay too. So if this is something that you want to move forward with, I'm going to again suggest you go to callwithlisa.com, set it up on the calendar. There will be a request form for you to fill out so I can know more about your business before our call so we can make the time together as efficient as possible. And at this time, what I am ready to do is answer any questions that you may have.
I'll ask a question.
Sure.
So it just seems to me that your program and your advice is more suited to someone that is not doing like a direct sales business like me, where it's not, I get that you're trying to have me differentiate myself, etc. But there's a lot of things that I can and can't do given the confines of the company. It's not like
what company you with, honey?
I just started with Beauty Counter a little while ago. I'm an attorney by training, but I really believe in the products for a variety of reasons. So it's easy for me to, I think, differentiate myself and do my signature, etc. But I think a lot of what you might be able to offer, someone that's doing another kind of service wouldn't really apply to a direct sales business like mine.
So I actually have been in direct sales, and I made, when I had lost everything I have to see what year it is, right before 9/11, WorldCom went bankrupt, I started over again. I went from being a millionaire at 30 to a pauper at 40. And when that happened, I was already introduced to the direct sales industry. It's not something I choose to do today, but I have a residual income from it. I'm one of the top 1% in the world for a company. And I actually created these programs, and what I found in the programs is I actually love some of the products, and I moved the products through my programs. And I don't use it for personally recruiting because I have no interest in recruiting or building that business, but I have taught people like Dr. Terry, who is in direct sales, to do what she's doing, and she's building her own business. Plus, she's building a direct sales company. So the answer is it does work.
Great. Thank you.
Yes.
So Lisa, this is Tara. I'm on call on your website. If we could just walk through, because I always am the dummy of everybody. If someone wanted to sign up for this session with you,
it would be the strategy session for business.
Strategy session for business, which is, let me just see.
The third one. It should be the third one down, I think, hon.
Yep, third one down. Okay, so I just click on that.
Yes.
And then over on the left-hand side, I would be sure to fill out the form business before our call, and then.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. It looks, well, I'm showing it on my phone, but you can't see it with the lighting. So that doesn't help you.
It's the third one down, because I know you have other ones. So it says
find a fab for business strategy. Right.
Okay. And then fill out, so I click on that to learn more, and then I would fill out the form on the left-hand side by clicking out.
Do the date and time and all the other information, then you'll get an email as well to fill out that form. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Any other questions?
You're on mute. If you do have a question, you just need to unmute yourself. I became an accidental entrepreneur. We started this by accident, and I didn't have a business strategy. And I just put out, would anybody pay me this? And someone said yes. And that was the number we started with. And we went through 6 years of barely making it by, never taking a salary, never being able to make profit. thinking that something magical was going to happen and it was going to take off on fire and it was all going to change. Never thinking that I was confident enough to ask people to sponsor at a price, to raise the prices. It turns out that the majority of, I have a very warm audience on this call and people that are truly loving Big. And I think even to this day, to the organization to this day. But now we have sponsors. Now when someone says, what's a sponsorship fee? I'll say minimum $500. I couldn't, and that is low, but I couldn't have even said that 3 or 4 years ago. And what I know about this is it's all in my head, because the 26-year-old girl that worked in an advertising agency and worked with a girl who was 22 got assigned a client that we worked on exclusively. Once in a while, someone would come in and say, how's it going? But that client paid that agency $20,000 to $30,000 a month for us. And then here I am, 30 years later, struggling to ask for a fraction of that amount. Mm-hmm. It's demoralizing. Mm-hmm. Well, to know the value that you bring to the table and know the value that people get, and fear asking for the money, or fear that, oh, if I raise my prices, I'm going to lose everybody. Or if I ask for something, they're going to laugh at me. And, so much of it is here. Yeah.
Well, I always say it's the 6 inches between your head. And I agree. It's 80% psychology, 20% mechanics. And we need to, that's why the first thing I start with is the confidence formula, because if you don't believe in you, then how are other people going to believe in you, right?
Yeah, and I think the thing about confidence formula is, and that's why Big exists 24/7, 365, is because you could have had it last week and you lost it Tuesday. It's an ongoing thing, and it's a muscle. So when someone says yes to you at a number, then that validates it and you feel more confident, right? So you have to take that risk and put it out there, because it's what do you have to lose. But the other thing I'd say, Lisa, is, now I have Brittany, thank God. We had Nell before her. In a million years, I never thought I could afford a full-time employee. And here we are. And you know what? Brittany deserves even more value that I'm able to pay her now. And so we amp up the game more and more because it's worth it. But you do need accountability from and you need to dive deep inside yourself before you can do that.
Absolutely. I agree. And what a great team. And it's knowing what resources you need and taking the action is important too. Sure.
Anybody else have a desire to get beyond where they are now? I mean, I know a lot of you on this call, and I know that you have and I'm not selling Lisa's program, and really Lisa's not selling Lisa's program, but I do want you to know that you do have to take some risks and some chances. And above all else, as women, we need to invest in ourselves. And that's emotionally, but it's also, financially, we're worth it. I mean, I'm paying 3 college tuitions at $75,000 a tuition and thinking my kids deserve that. Why can't I think that I deserve a fraction of that for me?
We have a question in the chat. Dawn asks, do you have any strategies for finding where our ideal clients are? That has been a struggle for me in terms of identifying my avatar.
What's your business, Dawn? Can Dawn speak?
Personal biographer.
Okay. Well,
Dawn, if you want to unmute, you can. I can. Her speaker's not working.
Okay.
So
I mean, the answer, this is part of what we do in the program. There's a lot of things that you need to do. You need to find out, when you're looking at an ideal client, you need to decide who's profitable, who gets it, who's easy to work with, and then also where can you find them. So there's a lot of variables there. As a biographer, you can write about anyone, but the thing is, a lot of people want to write books, and you need to understand, you're writing books, or you're writing plays, or you're writing movies. There's variables here as well. Can they afford it? You know, if they do it, I don't know if you know, people think they're going to write a book and they're going to sell 1 million copies. The average book only sells, who knows how many books the average person sells? Guess, type it in. That's the way everybody's answering me today. Okay, the average person doesn't sell more than 100 books. Yeah, I see 100, yes. 100 books is what the average person sells. The average books in Barnes & Noble, privately published as heirlooms. Oh, just FYI. Okay, so it's very different, because then how much are they willing to spend for that? And then who is that avatar who will do that? Because in Barnes & Noble's, the average book only sells 1,000 copies, they said, recent report. And I mean, I sold over 10,000 copies of my book. So it's how are you going to use it when someone's writing a biography? Are they using it to build a business, to be able to promote something else? And because it might not just be for an heirloom, it may be because they want to use it for a business, to be able to sell their signature program or something around it. There's a lot of directions you can go with that. And in the program we offer, we do get down to the questions to get more specific on where you want to be. Also, a question from Jen, is the slide deck going to be shared? No, the slide deck is not shared, hon. That's my intellectual property. So no, that's not being shared. Are your books available as ebooks? As a matter of fact, I have a new book coming out, and the new book is actually, I'll put it in the chat. I think it's, I forgot what if you want to be able to get it when it comes out, it's fine to FOR4business.com. And it's not in the editor yet, but I think that just click on that link and tell me if it works, Brittany. It actually, if you opt in there, you'll know when the book's available, but it's fine to Fab for Business. Are your books? My other book is available as an ebook on Amazon, yes. Yes, it is. And that's fine to Fab. I don't think there were great information. Thanks for the link. It worked. Thank you. I'm happy it worked. Okay. Awesome. So are there any other thoughts or questions that anyone has, that you have?
Adele, I saw you unmuted. I just want to make sure.
Sorry, I'm just trying to turn my light on that got dark in the room while we've been on the call. So I just went on. I think I signed up. It just said value 1,500 and all that. So
yes.
I guess, yeah, it didn't ask me to pay or anything. So it looks like I'm all set to go.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, I found this very helpful, very concrete, and you know, gave me some really good things to think about, and so I appreciate it.
Awesome. And if you should get the link to fill out before our call. Okay.
Okay.
So
will I email? Will
yeah,
it email?
Barbara and Anna and Adele and Beth and Nina already signed up, right? Okay. And
if anyone's having trouble, you can reach Brittany and we'll get you involved.
Jennifer, Mary, Robin, Wendy. We might be getting close to the 20. We'll see. Okay. That's when I put the price back on.
Get in while you can. I negotiated the best I could for you guys. 0-0. It's against skin in the game. It's against skin in the game rules, but you know, I'm a tough negotiator these days.
Okay.
I really got the light bulb, the aha moment when you said concentrate on outcome, right? Because really at the end of the day, we're talking human factor here, and it's not even a self-centered, it's people they have that pain point, but what they want is the release of that pain or the solution. And when we talk, and I see this a lot, you know, what do you do? Oh, I do this, and it's the opposite, right? You almost see people go, oh my gosh, okay, get away, like that commercial that you see the woman, you know, turning gray in front of the guy who's spewing about what they do at the coffee place. What you really want is how do what you do make their life better, easier, more enriched? I mean, if you can't talk to that person from that perspective, you're missing the boat, I think. And it's a hard one.
Absolutely. It's shifting the thinking, because a lot of people are selling the product or the service and not the outcome. And it's when we're selling the outcome, it's even, look at the name of our program, Big Money Blueprint. We didn't say, what's the outcome? You're going to make big money and here's the blueprint to do it. Versus here, signature program. That's the product.
Right.
Right? It's like, what are we selling as an outcome? It's like Revlon selling hope. People make that mistake and then they wonder why people think you're just like everybody else. And most likely you're not. But it's just the way we're communicating it makes it sound like you are.
What's really nice about that, and people don't, I've understood this because I've played in your sandbox for a while, but when you know that you are selling hope or whatever it is that you're selling, it actually makes your life as an entrepreneur so much easier, because it's that supreme filter, right? It's that when someone says to you, hey, you know what you should do? You should join us and do this, or you should come to this, or you should partner with this, or you should take on this product, this service, this thing. You get to filter that idea or that opportunity through this filter that says, would this bring hope to my client?
Right.
And if the answer is no, you can say no.
Exactly.
If you're not clear on what that filter is, if you're not clear on your filter, then everything goes askew.
Yes, you're brilliant. Exactly. It's a great distinction to even do that, because we talk about time versus money and all the other challenges people have. But if they have the filter, then they make better decisions and not throwing away money, they're not throwing away time, and they're servicing people at the highest level because it has the right outcome.
And it's so unique to your personal DNA, right? Because it starts with why you're doing what you're doing. And that's going back to Nina, what you said about the direct marketing. I worked before this in direct marketing, believe it or not. And why does one person make millions in direct marketing, one person doesn't? Because it's actually that human factor and why you're doing it and why you're doing it. And people, they can buy this product from other places, but they're buying it from you for a reason. And that's the unique DNA. And that's why we do what we do, right? We do it. To me, money's the outcome of business, right? I mean, it's what you're going to do with that money that matters in your life.
Absolutely. Well, that's why I said too, is a lot of times we do stuff because we feel like we're driven to do it and we have a purpose or a cause, but we need to make sure if we're doing it, we're also supporting the first cause, and that's yourself. That is profitable. And there's a difference between profit and money, because you said that before, and I don't know everybody got that distinction. A lot of people are in business and, you make, I'm just going to use six figures. I'm going to say 100,000. Okay. You make $100,000 and you think you made $100,000. You didn't. Because like Tara said, she had to pay herself. It's like, so you didn't make 100,000. You have expenses, you have other things you have to take out. Then you got to pay yourself. Then you got to pay the accountant, the lawyer. You got to pay the assistants. You got to pay the managers, or you got to pay materials. You didn't make 100,000. You made whatever you net, and people don't understand that. And that's a big deal in business. When I said I made 150,000. I actually knew I netted over 120 my first year. I grossed 150,000, but I netted 120. And that's when I knew it was my rule. I had a net a six-figure income in every business I started the first year. I had a net, not gross, net, because that's the mistake people make. They don't understand the difference. There's expenses in doing things. You have memberships. You're here. There's an investment you're making, right? There's going to an event. There's meeting people for lunch. You're spending money. That's an expense you're writing off, but it's an expense. You're getting materials for your products or service. You're creating something. It's an expense. So when you look at your goals and what you want, you need to know the difference between what's profit and what's a cost. And people don't think like that. They think they make the whole money. And I'm like, no, you don't.
Right. That's a reality, right? You have to pay this.
Yeah, so when you set your goals, make sure you're setting the goals for what you want to net, not just what you want to gross, because that way find out what your expenses are, and then make sure your goal is higher than that, so that you will have that at the end of the day. And then make sure those numbers continue to climb all the time. And that's the important piece. Awesome.
Any more in the chat room? I see a number there. No.
I see a lot of people saying they signed up and they're filling out forms.
Oh, that's excellent. That's excellent. I was listening to the radio this morning, or television, I forget which one. And it's really interesting when you talk about money and business, and especially for women in business, because we're in business for more than just dollars and cents. Like we're just, like you said at the beginning, men and women are very different. Right? We're there to make the world a better place. We're there to take care of our family and our parents and all these other reasons why we need the money, not just to, pile up a bunch of money somewhere. But they actually, interestingly, said today when they talked about Amazon, who's taking away all these jobs and they're putting robots where human beings used to do, and basically isolating workers, that in Stanford, they're actually starting not just a stock market where people measure dollars and cents, but they're starting a morality economy where what's the price to the human being, the way you do business. So factoring in how you want to make a profit. Do you want to make a profit off the back of someone else, or do you want to make a profit because you actually do good for other people and you pay a fair price and you treat people differently? And it's an interesting thing. I mean, I don't raise the prices of B.I.G, even though people tell me I can, and it's debatable. We raise them a little bit, but because I don't want money to be the reason why women can't experience the magic of the support that they get. I don't want them to use that as an excuse. Mm-hmm. And so we keep it low, and I think it has value over time.
Yes.
But the quick answer would be, hey, this is our price, take it or leave it. Just like today when you said yes to taking away your fee. I mean, you're not in this for that short-term money.
Well, I mean, here's the thing that for everybody here, if you build enough value with people, they'll stay with you. So whatever business you're in, think about how you add value. And I know that Tara does that a lot, where we did that event at the church and I did the seminar, and it was like, we talked, I told her she needed to charge everybody. So she doesn't always listen to me, just so you know. And she wouldn't charge anybody she wanted to gift it as you as part of being a member. And I understood that, but my reason for wanting to charge was to make sure people showed up and valued it. But this community has a different operating system because you already know how it works and you value being there as part of the community. But if you have a business where you're not in that area or arena where it's already a culture, a lot of times free has no value. So you have to be aware when to give it for free and when to charge. Understand that this scenario is unique, and that it is unique. It's just not how it works in all businesses.
And it's conflicting. It's conflicting. There is a whole part of me that doesn't want to give it for free because it's worth something.
It is.
Right? And there is something. I notice if I gift a membership, that woman, 90% of the time doesn't show up at pod meetings.
I believe that. I really think free has no value. I think that it's better to charge even a stipend of something to make sure. And the same reason, ladies, the same reason I said who it's not for, because I just didn't want you to waste my time or yours if it's not for you. So I'm going to run.
We're going to run. We're at the last minute. I don't know what number you're on, but you're close to the 20 free. And then what happens after that, Lisa? I know that tomorrow we have another call. We have another opportunity. So if there's someone that we know that a lot more people signed up to be on this call that showed up today, which is another negative to not charging, because even if we charge, people will probably come. But the value of the people on this call was extraordinary. What's the parting words that we should leave people with tonight?
Well, I think the parting words is that, if you actually just take what I shared with you, and there's such huge nuggets, and sometimes we don't appreciate the wealth of information we're given, and I say that very, very strongly. I've invested so much in doing it wrong so I can do it right. And I've invested as much in the education of learning from the masters out there as well as mastering it myself. And the cool thing, I think, is that anything you do that takes action can see results. And if you start implementing just some of the little things I shared with you, I promise you, you're going to get a better return on your investment as far as your time and what you're doing out there. And I just know you can major in the minors or minor in the majors. I just know that once you apply things that you're learning and you take action and invest in yourself, you can start seeing unbelievable results. If you're a person that is here and you're not comfortable in investing in yourself, I'm going to share with you, this is a very big comment, and I didn't think I'd be saying this, but I do want to share it. If you have a hard time spending money on you, you probably have a hard time asking people to spend money on your services. And I want to part with that, because I had done a seminar a couple of weeks ago for some of my clients. And it was interesting. I had said to them beforehand, because they already were my clients, and I said, look, I have some new services I want to share with you. And I was totally open with them. I said, anybody have a challenge if I sell you something? And I was totally transparent. And there was like 30 women there, and 5 women raised their hand, like they don't like to be sold to. I said, okay, thank you for being honest and for sharing with me. And I looked at each one of them, and one was in direct sales, and one was a doctor, and one was a business person. Another one, I think, was in direct sales, another business. I'm trying to see their face. So all of them were in business that didn't want me to sell. And I looked at each one of them and asked how their business was. And I said, how do you do when you're asking for the sale? Is that easy or hard for you? And every one of them had a hard time asking for the sale. So how we do anything is how we do everything. If you feel bad about when someone's selling you something, you probably have a hard time selling people things. If you have a hard time investing in yourself, then you probably have a hard time asking people to invest in you. And the one thing I found is at the very beginning of my journey, 25 years ago, it's probably more than 25 now, when I first invested in my first program, I thought, my first thing with Tony 25 years ago was $25,000 I paid for my ex-husband and myself. $25,000 back then. My husband and I just did the platinum year in 2011, and we spent $300,000 for 1 year. And I look at it, it's all relative, and you may think I'm either insane or you think I'm brilliant. It doesn't matter. I'm going to tell you, I've gotten my return on my investment each time. And it's because I believe that when I go and invest in myself, that I use the information. And like Tara said, not that somebody gave it to me, but I spent the money. I'm going to use this. I'm going to do something with it. I'm going to make sure it works for me. And, I want you just to do a checkup from the neck up and see what choices you're making and how you're making those decisions. And if you have stories around money and stories about asking for money or buying things, I'm going to tell you, it'll be a reflection of your business. My business keeps growing. I'm willing to invest. I'm actually going to another seminar in a couple of weeks. I'm speaking in New Orleans, but I invested in another program. And people are like, why do you go? I'm like, well, you know what? It's like when you're green, you grow. When you're ripe, you rot. I know I'm fighting. Even if I get one nugget from something, one nugget, it's worth it for me. And some people, it's like, well, why even go? Because that one nugget may be the difference of me making, hitting my $1 million mark a year. That it could be the difference. And if that's what I need to do, that's what I'm willing to do. So look at where you are. And if you're not where you want to be and you want to go further, then take action now and go ahead and set up with the callwithlisa.com. And if you're not ready to invest in yourself, then just start doing your due diligence to figure out what's blocking you. And that might be another conversation we need to have. I have a different program for that. You might need Find to Fab. They may need Find to Fab. If you have a hard time investing in your business and you're not willing to invest in yourself, then you really do need Find to Fab, not the big money blueprint. But I'm excited that you're here. Thank you, Tara and Brittany, for doing all this and doing the due diligence and the work to get everybody here. And ladies, just take some of the information and definitely apply it. And just what you heard is going to make a difference in your life, I promise you, and the people you'll be able to touch. And I'll look forward to connecting with those that set up the appointments. And I'll look forward to seeing Tara and Brittany tomorrow. Okay.
Thank you, Lisa.
Okay. Good night,
Good
everyone.
night, ladies. Have a wonderful night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.